I never thought I'd be the kind of person who would come to the internet asking strangers for advice about something this messy. But here I am, typing this at 2 a.m. because I honestly don't know what to do anymore. I think I'm in love with my stepbrother. Even writing that sentence makes me feel sick with guilt. For context, my mom got remarried 3 years ago. Before that, it was just the two of us for most of my life. My dad left when I was young, and my mom struggled a lot. She worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3. I remember nights when she pretended she wasn't hungry so I could eat more. She sacrificed everything for me. So when she finally met someone who treated her right, I was genuinely happy. My stepdad is a good man. He treats my mom like she's the most important person in the world. He's patient, kind, and for the first time in years, I saw my mom actually relax and smile again. He also came with a son, my stepbrother, Ryan. When our parents first introduced us, I didn't think much about him. He was just some guy who was going to be living in the same house. He was a year older than me, confident, sarcastic, and the kind of guy who always seemed to know exactly what to say. But if I'm being honest, Ryan has always been trouble. He's what people would call a playboy. He's charming in a way that feels effortless, like he doesn't even try. Girls are constantly texting him. I've seen different girls pick him up for dates more times than I can count. At first, I found it annoying. Then somehow it stopped being annoying. I noticed little things. The way he'd lean against the kitchen counter and tease me while I tried to make coffee in the mornings. The way he'd casually drape his arm around my shoulders when we watched movies with our parents. It started harmless. At least that's what I told myself. Because the truth is, somewhere along the way, my feelings changed. And I didn't realize how bad things had gotten until the first time we crossed the line. The first time we kissed wasn't supposed to happen. Our parents had gone out for their anniversary dinner. They rarely went out alone, so it felt like a big deal. Before they left, my mom reminded us at least 5 times not to stay up too late. Ryan and I ended up watching a movie in the living room. It was one of those stupid horror movies where the characters make the worst decisions possible. We spent most of the time laughing at it. At some point, Ryan started making sarcastic commentary about every scene. "You'd definitely be the first one to die in a horror movie," he told me. I threw a pillow at him. "Oh yeah, why?" "Because you trip over literally nothing while running away." I rolled my eyes. "You're such a jerk." But I was smiling. At some point during the movie, we ended up sitting closer than we normally did. I don't even remember how it happened. Then the power went out. The entire house went dark. "Seriously," I said. Ryan pulled out his phone. "Flashlight, relax. It's probably just the neighborhood power." For some reason, the moment felt different, quieter, more intense. I was sitting right next to him, and I could feel how close we were. Then he looked at me in a way he never had before. And I swear something shifted in the air. "I probably shouldn't do this," he said quietly. My heart started racing. "Do what?" I asked, but I think I already knew. Before I could process anything, he leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't a quick, accidental kiss. It lasted long enough that I forgot how to think. And when we finally pulled apart, reality hit me like a truck. "We can't do that," I said immediately. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. "Yeah, I know." Neither of us mentioned it again that night, but that should have been the end of it. Except it wasn't. After that night, things between us got weird. Not in a dramatic way. Our parents never noticed anything, but there was tension. Sometimes we'd catch each other staring. Other times we avoided eye contact completely. I kept telling myself it was just a stupid mistake. One moment of bad judgment, but then it happened again. It was about 2 months later. Ryan had come home late one night after going out with friends. I was in the kitchen getting water when he walked in. He looked tired, but when he saw me he smirked. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Insomnia," I said. He grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and leaned against the counter. "You know," he said casually, "we never talked about that night." My stomach dropped. "There's nothing to talk about," I said quickly. "Right," he said. But the way he said it made it clear he didn't believe that. The silence between us stretched. Then he sighed. "You know this is a bad idea, right?" he said. "I know," I snapped. That's when he stepped closer. "Then why do you look at me like that?" he asked. I didn't even know what he meant. But before I could respond, he kissed me again. And this time, I kissed him back. Since then, we've made out a few more times. Nothing beyond that. But honestly, that almost makes it worse. Because every time it happens, I swear it will be the last time. And every time, I fail. Ryan treats it like it's not a big deal. That's just how he is. He's always been a flirt. He doesn't take relationships seriously. But I do. And the guilt is destroying me. My mom is happier than I've ever seen her. She laughs more now. She goes on date nights. She talks about the future like she actually believes good things will happen. And every time I see her smiling, I feel like the worst person in the world. Because if she ever found out what's happening between me and Ryan, It would destroy her. Her marriage would probably fall apart. And after everything she's been through, she deserves to be happy. That's why I want this to stop. But I don't know how. Ryan is everywhere. We live in the same house. We eat dinner at the same table. And every time we're alone, that tension comes back. Sometimes I catch him looking at me like he's thinking about it too. And the worst part, I still want him, which makes me hate myself even more. So here I'm asking strangers for advice because I honestly don't know what to do. I don't want to ruin my mom's marriage. She deserves happiness after everything she's been through. But I also don't trust myself around Ryan anymore. And the fact that he's a playboy makes this even worse. I know I'm probably just another girl to him. That should make it easier to stop, but somehow it doesn't. Part of me wants to confront him and tell him we have to stop completely. Another part of me thinks I should distance myself from him as much as possible. But living in the same house makes that almost impossible. So Reddit, I need honest advice. How do I stop this before it goes too far? How do I get over feelings for someone I see every day? And most importantly, how do I make sure I don't destroy the one good thing my mom finally has in her life? Because if my stupid feelings end up hurting her, I don't think I'll ever forgive myself. Update. First of all, I didn't expect so many people to respond to my post. I posted it late at night expecting maybe a few replies. But when I woke up, there were hundreds of comments. Some people were supportive. Some people were brutally honest. And some people just called me an idiot. Honestly, most of you were right. A lot of you said the same thing. This needs to stop immediately and I need to set boundaries with Ryan. So yesterday I finally did something I should have done months ago. I talked to him. It happened in the kitchen again, which is apparently where all our terrible decisions happen. Our parents had gone grocery shopping and it was just the two of us in the house. Normally when we're alone there's this weird tension. But this time I forced myself to speak first before anything could happen. I told him we needed to talk. Ryan looked confused at first, but then he leaned against the counter like he always does and said, "That sounds serious." I told him everything. That I felt guilty, that I didn't want to hurt my mom, and that this whole situation needed to stop. At first he was quiet, then he sighed, and what he said surprised me. He said he actually agreed. Apparently the reason he never pushed things further physically was because he knew it was already crossing a line. He admitted he liked me, but he also said he didn't want to destroy our parents' relationship either. I asked him why he kept kissing me then. He said something like, because every time we're alone, it's hard not to, which honestly didn't make things easier to hear. But in the end, we both agreed on something. No more being alone together if we can avoid it. No more late-night kitchen talks. No more watching movies alone. Basically, we're trying to act like normal siblings. It sounds simple in theory, but I'm already realizing it's harder than I expected. Update. It's been about 2 weeks since my last update. Ryan and I have actually been sticking to the boundaries we talked about. No more kissing. No more flirting. No more situations where we're alone together. At family dinners, we act completely normal. If anything, we probably look more distant than before. But here's the weird part. Ryan has been acting different. Remember how I said he was a playboy? He used to go out constantly. Different girls were always texting him. Sometimes he wouldn't even come home until really late. But lately he's been staying home more. He's not going out nearly as much as he used to. At first I thought maybe I was imagining it. But then one of his friends came over last weekend and literally asked him why he keeps turning down plans. Ryan just shrugged and changed the subject. And I don't know why, but that made my chest feel weird. Part of me keeps wondering if it has something to do with what happened between us, which is exactly the kind of thought I shouldn't be having, because the whole point of this was to move on. But when you live in the same house as someone you're trying to get over, it's not exactly easy. Things got more complicated tonight. We were all having dinner together, my mom, my stepdad, Ryan, and me. Everything seemed normal at first. Then my mom suddenly asked Ryan why he hadn't been bringing girls over lately. Ryan almost choked on his drink. My stepdad started joking about how maybe Ryan was finally settling down. Then my mom looked at both of us and said something weird. She said, "You two have been acting strangely quiet around each other lately." I swear my heart stopped. Ryan immediately said we were just tired from school and work. Thankfully, my mom didn't push it further, but the entire time I felt like I was sitting on a ticking bomb. That's the thing about secrets like this. Even if nothing is happening anymore, it still feels like everything could fall apart if someone finds out what already happened. And now I'm starting to wonder if the only real solution is putting some distance between me and Ryan completely. Because the longer we live under the same roof, the harder it's going to be to move on. Final update. I've spent the last week thinking about what the right thing to do is, and I finally made a decision. I'm moving out. Not because my mom did anything wrong, not because Ryan did something terrible, but because I realized I can't fully move on while I'm still living in the same environment where everything happened. I talked to my mom yesterday and told her I wanted to get my own place. She was surprised, but also supportive. She said she's proud of me for wanting independence. She has no idea about the real reason. Ryan found out later that night. He didn't say much at first, just nodded. But right before he left the room, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "You're probably doing the right thing." And for the first time since all of this started, I actually felt like maybe things will be okay. Maybe distance is exactly what we need. I don't know what the future looks like, but at least now I know I'm doing everything I can to protect the one thing that matters most to me, my mom's happiness. And hopefully one day these feelings will finally fade. It's been 6 months since my last update. I didn't think I'd ever update this again, but a lot has happened over the past 6 months and people have been messaging me asking what happened after I moved out. First, the good news, moving out actually helped a lot. At first it was really hard because I missed my mom, but having my own space made it easier to clear my head. I stopped seeing Ryan every day, which meant I could finally start separating my feelings from the situation. For a while, things were calm. When I visited my mom and stepdad, Ryan and I were polite but distant. We barely talked beyond normal small talk. It was awkward at first, but eventually it started to feel normal. Then something happened about 2 months ago. Ryan showed up at my apartment, completely unannounced. I almost didn't open the door because I thought it was a delivery driver. When I saw him standing there, I honestly thought something terrible had happened to my mom. But that wasn't it. He just stood there for a few seconds like he was trying to figure out what to say. Then he told me something that completely shocked me. He said he hadn't been with anyone since I moved out. At first, I thought he was joking. I even laughed and said, "Yeah, right." But he was serious. He said the reason he used to act like such a playboy was because he never really cared about any of those girls. They were just distractions. And apparently after everything that happened between us, none of that felt the same anymore. Then he said something I really wasn't prepared to hear. He said he thought he had real feelings for me. I didn't even know how to react. For months I had been trying to get over him, convincing myself that I was just another girl to him. But hearing him say that brought back all the feelings I had been trying so hard to bury. The problem is none of that changes the reality of the situation. Our parents are married. And even though we're not related by blood, it would absolutely destroy them if they found out about everything that happened. So I told him the truth. I told him I still cared about him too, but that it didn't matter. Because my mom's happiness will always be more important than whatever feelings we have. Ryan didn't argue. He just nodded like he already knew that was what I was going to say. Before he left, he said one last thing. He said, in another life, maybe things would have been different. And honestly, that sentence has been stuck in my head ever since. So that's where things are now. I'm still living on my own. My mom is still happily married. Ryan and I barely talk anymore. Sometimes I wonder if we did the right thing. But at the end of the day, I know protecting my mom's happiness was the most important thing, even if it meant letting go of something that might have been real. And maybe that's just part of growing up, making the hard choices no one else will ever know about.